Hello and welcome to section number 5 of the PRINCE2 Agile Practitioner Certification Training. This section is about applying or tailoring the PRINCE2 principles, themes, processes, and management products to a project in an Agile context. You can expect 24 questions from this exam worth 24 marks out of the total 50 for the exam, which means this is an important section because almost 50% of the questions are reserved for this section. It's a long section, therefore, we have split it into 5 parts. And so there's a separate recording for each part for section number 5. Note that section number 5 refers to the learning objectives in the PRINCE2 exam syllabus. You will have to use the scenario for all these 24 questions. However, there are 2 sets of questions in the exam, one with 12 questions, another with 12 questions. And there is a separate piece of additional information or a separate set of additional information for each of those 2 sets of 12 questions. But in total, they make up 24 questions. So let's look into what is in this section. The learning objectives are to describe in detail the 5 PRINCE2 Agile behaviors, particularly the transparency, the collaboration, the rich communication, self-organization, and exploration. Explain that Agile needs to be incorporated in all 7 PRINCE2 processes and all 7 themes, but that the amount appropriate to each will vary depending on the project context. Describe the 2 common organization roles of Scrum Master and Product Owner. Explain how to adjust roles using the use of specialist roles and the options for team organization in a project. Define the makeup of a typical delivery team. Describe servant leadership, its use and importance. Describe how to define working agreements. Describe quality setting techniques, including definition of done and the use of acceptance criteria. Describe quality testing, quality checking, and management techniques. Describe approaches to planning and typical planning techniques. Describe approaches to risk and how Agile concepts mitigate many typical risks. So as you can note, there are a lot of Agile techniques and how the Agile roles and the PRINCE2 roles can be mapped together. There is also a lot of information in the foundation course already, which you have to refer to as well. And the foundation references are the following. You will have to refer to different sections in the foundation courseware from us. And these would be the PRINCE2 Agile behaviors from section number 3. Also from section number 3, we have tailoring the themes, the tables in particular, and the PRINCE2 processes and management products. We have from section number 4, the burn charts. From section 3, which are covered at a high level, the PRINCE2 Agile guidance for all the 7 themes, but we will be covering them a bit more here in the practitioner course. From section 3 also, we have PRINCE2 Agile guidance for all the 7 processes. Section 4 from the foundation courseware, retrospectives. Section 1, PRINCE2 management products. Section 5, requirements. Section 1, defining benefits and value, an example from the business case theme. Section 2, PRINCE2 role responsibilities. And lastly, from section 1 in the foundation courseware, PRINCE2 Agile delivery team roles, responsibilities, and competencies. We now move into the part 1 of section 5. We have 5 parts here in section 5, each part in a separate recording. We begin with the organization theme in an Agile context. Note that there is no separate allocation of marks in the exam for each part here. The parts have been made just by us for your convenience instead of having a one long single recording. It is just that section 5 would have 24 questions. Let's look at initially at the importance of some of the themes in Agile. While there are 7 themes, some themes are more prominent when combining Agile with PRINCE2, for example, the plans and the progress themes. The other themes are less prominent, such as the business case and the risk themes. However, all themes need to be used and are important. We begin with the Agile view of the organization theme, and there is a lot of information in this theme here. This particular slide is not part of the exam syllabus, but provides an introduction to this topic, which can be very useful to you for your understanding. There are various ways of organizing Agile project teams. Some approaches like DSDM, the Dynamic Systems Development Method, which is now known as Agile PM from the Agile Business Consortium, describes several roles with clearly defined levels of accountability and responsibility, whereas others like Kanban define none. Scrum sits in between these two views with few roles but for product delivery, such as the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the developers or the development team. An important point to note, which we have highlighted as well as there are some underlined, would be important for the exam. Agile teams should self-organize, be empowered, remain stable, and have a large amount of autonomy. This makes the team collectively responsible for what it delivers rather than the team manager being responsible. Agile delivery team members are multi-skilled. All these three are key for the exam. Further, also important, Agile roles generally operate at the product delivery level, with relatively little reference made to roles which sit above this, for example, the sponsorship and technical strategy. A mature Agile environment should have clearly defined roles above the delivery level, such as sponsorship, technical strategy, and product roadmaps, with roles such as sponsor or product manager. A few important points coming up. The Scrum Master. It's a common role in Agile seen as a servant leader. Many times, this is mistakenly assumed as a manager role for the team, but not so. They are more like a servant leader, support from behind, and a coach to the team. The important thing for the Scrum Master is he or she facilitates and coaches the Scrum process while removing impediments identified by the delivery team. There is no such equivalent role in PRINCE2, though the team manager could be one, but the team should not be managed, but led using servant leadership and coached. We will cover servant leadership a bit more in a while. However, in PRINCE2 Agile, a team manager or similar needs to be arranged in an appropriate way who will be accountable to the project manager for the delivery of a team's products, which means it is important to have a team manager connection to the project manager in PRINCE2, while the team manager would not be a manager or a supervisor for the team members, which is generally the case in traditional project environment, but in Agile, not so. The product owner. This role is a key stakeholder. There is no similar roles in PRINCE2 as it depends on the number of delivery teams involved in a project with many product owners. It is similar to the business ambassador role in DSDM. Now, the project manager and the team manager. There is opinion that a project manager is not needed in Agile due to two reasons. Because any work can be carried out and managed as it were BAU or business as usual by breaking the work down to a size and level of uncertainty. The term manager infers a lack of trust in the team members as they manage themselves collectively through self-organization. PRINCE2 and PRINCE2 Agile see the project manager role as essential for a project, and this is important. Although in an Agile context, the behaviors, relationships, and responsibilities may be emphasized differently. The requirements engineer or business analyst role. There is a less prominence to a specific role for gathering the requirements for a project, for example, a requirements engineer or business analyst, as this responsibility is usually of the product owner. So how can we combine the PRINCE2 roles with Agile roles? For routine type of work, where the scale of work is small, typically one team would be involved only. Therefore, there is no application of the combination for the PRINCE2 and Agile roles. It can just be handled as regular operations or business as usual work. When the type of work is difficult, but the size or scale is small, and there is one team, then probably the combination would be straightforward, such as the project manager and the team manager roles are combined. The most common Agile roles should be aligned easily. However, when the type of work is difficult and the size or the scale of work is large, and there are many number of teams, at least more than one, then the combining of the PRINCE2 and the Agile roles requires a degree of care. The most commonly used Agile roles need to be carefully aligned as there is more than one team and the alignment may not be obvious. Further, the different concepts of roles in PRINCE2 and Agile. Agile delivery teams prefer to be led and coached than being managed, as we have noted earlier. Agile teams are self-organized and collectively responsible for what they deliver. The Scrum Master is seen as a coach and servant leader to the team and not a manager of the team. An important point to note is PRINCE2 defines the role of the team manager, which has clear accountability at the team or delivery level. The mapping of this to any role in an Agile team is not straightforward and needs to be handled appropriately. Common Agile guidance refers to a single product owner, which is another point. And the important thing here is that PRINCE2 Agile recommends taking a more blended view of the customer rather than listening to one single voice, particularly when the project needs to canvas the views of several stakeholders and conflicting views from the customer's side, which means a single product owner may not be good enough in a PRINCE2 project, in a PRINCE2 Agile particularly. Thus, engage with the customer at different levels of authority and ensuring that all areas of expertise have been included in the decision-making and communication process. Common Agile guidance also does not have a project manager role, but PRINCE2 sees this role as mandatory because complex work is managed as a project.